So we're going to be talking about another great man of history, Albert Einstein. Einstein. He was a scientist. We're going to talk about who he was and his childhood, and we're going to talk about one of his major theories called the theory of relativity. So let's start with learning about Einstein, who he was and what he did, and the theory of relativity, which is his major theory. But let's start first with what he studied. As I said, he was a physicist, a kind of scientist. That's Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein was a Jewish scientist. He was born in Germany on March 14, 1879. He's one of the most famous scientists in the world. Einstein is also one of the greatest contributors to modern physics and science. He couldn't speak until he was 4 years old, and people didn't think he was clever, but he was good at math and physics. Einstein received a compass from his father when he was 5 years old and played with it. Einstein decided to find the invisible power by looking at the compass needle. The needle pointed in the same direction, no matter how much he moved.
So Einstein was this great physicist. And let's talk about his childhood, where he came from. So Albert Einstein was a Jewish scientist. He was born in Germany on March 14, 1879, long time ago. He is one of the most famous scientists, and Einstein is also one of the greatest contributors to modern physics. He couldn't speak until he was 4 years old, and people didn't think he was clever. But actually, he was really good at math and physics. He received a compass as a present when he was 5 years old, and he played with it. And Einstein decided to find the invisible power by looking at the compass. The needle pointed where? In the same direction, no matter how much he moved it. So he had a compass that inspired him. So what did we learn about Einstein? A little recap. He was born in Germany. He was Jewish. He didn't speak until he was 4 years old, so people thought maybe he wasn't clever. But actually, he was very good at math and physics, and he started to look at a compass and to try and figure out where it was pointing and why it was doing that. That's Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, we learned, was one of the greatest physicists. So let's keep learning about some of the things he studied.
Einstein's imagination and curiosity were endless. When he was 16 years old, he wondered how light would look when he ran at the speed of light. Since then, he had continued to explore light. In 1902, Einstein worked as a patent office official who approved new technologies and ideas. He continued his research while he was working at the patent office. Einstein published 4 papers in 1905, alone when he was 26 years old. These papers later changed the history of physics around the world.
So let's talk about his youth. We talked about his childhood before, but what about his youth? Well, Einstein's imagination and curiosity were endless. He was curious about so many things. When he was just 16 years old, that's not very old, he would look at the speed of light and wonder where it came from. Since then, he had continued to explore light and how it works. In 1902, Einstein worked at a patent office, and he worked with the official who approved new technologies. He continued his research by looking at all these new technologies. And when he was working at the patent office, he published 4 papers in 1905. He was still only 26 years old. He was really young, but he published all these papers, and those papers would change history and physics around the world. So this is how Einstein went from his childhood to his youth. By the time he was 26, he'd worked at a patent office. What is a patent? A patent is a law that guarantees someone owns some technology. So at the patent office, he was seeing new technologies come in all the time and processing them, dealing with them, and then sending them back out. That's Albert Einstein and his patent office experience. Because of that experience, he knew all about new technologies, and he was able to start thinking about things like the speed of light. Next, we're going to look at his final major theory, the theory of relativity.
Einstein published the theory of relativity, that the speed of light does not always change, and that time and space are changed by the state of motion of the observer. For example, the time goes slower in a fast-running jet than a parked car. Based on this theory, now we can look at maps on the smartphones and find the exact location and time. Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for his new theories on light and electrons, and theories about the secrets of the universe, such as black holes, mean a lot even in modern times. Einstein always emphasized the power of thought. He said that imagination is more important than knowledge. If you think and imagine all the time, you can discover the world's logic.
So that's the theory of relativity, we said. The theory is that the speed of light does not always change, and that time and space are changed by the state of motion of the observer. For example, the sun and a fast-running jet seem to move faster than a parked car, right? Based on this theory, now we can look at our smartphones and find the exact location and time. Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics, that's very special, for his new theories on light and electrons, and the theories about the secrets of the universe, I see, such as black holes, which means not even light can go in them. Einstein always emphasized the power of thought, of thinking, and he said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Oh, and if you think and imagine, you can discover something new, that's the world's logic. Einstein's theory was the theory of relativity. It was about how light worked and how time and space worked. And he compared things like the sun and someone in a normal car. Now we have smartphones, and that's changed how we understand speed. But the point is that Einstein's law about relativity and the speed of light still matter today, even though our world has changed. We also heard he was given a prize, a prestigious prize. What was that prize called? It was called the Nobel Prize, that's right. The Nobel Prize was what he was given for his work, and it's a very special prize. We learned about a great man, Einstein, and Einstein's theory of relativity. Let's do some pronunciation practice on some of the words we covered today. For example, physics and physicist. That's what he studied. Say it after me. Physics, physics, physicist, physicist, physics and physicist. Also scientist, scientist. Say it one more time after me to be clear. Scientist. Perfect. After all of this, do you remember the name of the prize that he was given? The Nobel Prize. Nobel. The Nobel Prize still exists today as well for physics or people who do good things to help the world, like the Nobel Prize for Peace, the Nobel Peace Prize. The Nobel Prize goes to important people who solve problems or who help the world to be a better place. And Einstein did all of that, so he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. That's what he did. We talked all about Einstein from his childhood to his experience in the patent office with new technologies, and also to his experience with the theory of relativity. Now you can talk about him, and you can explain to people you know about what Einstein did as a physicist and how that inspires you to study and to work as a scientist as well.